Thank you for coming back together. The next person I would like to introduce here is Dr. Ray Andrew. He owns a medical practice that specializes in some non-traditional medicine. And Lewis, my coworker Lewis Miller, met Dr. Andrew, and he instantly knew this guy's got to speak at the Beyond Building Project. So in true fashion to what we are doing at the Beyond Building Project, it's not just about building beautiful buildings, although that is certainly part of what we're here to do and talk about, but it's how do we build better businesses, how do we build better relationships, how do we build better selves, how do we build better community, and so certainly your health is a part of that. And so I'd like to, without further ado, welcome brother, my brother, new brother, Andrew to the stage.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Sabrina. So, I usually have this very bad habit of getting to the end of a presentation and forgetting to tell people where we are. So, so I'm the medical director of Prestige Wellness Institute, and people come from all over Utah and surrounding states in California to our offices in Springville and Moab to get their health back. So, now, how many here are in the building industry in some way, form, or fashion? Okay, so I guess I'm in the right place. So, you build with dirt and steel and concrete and wood. I'm in the building industry too, only I build with amino acids, fatty acids, carbohydrates, herbs, hormones, peptides, you name it. Both of us have something other than building in common, and that is we build with love. And I could hear that from David as he was giving his introduction at the very beginning. Love is critical to everything we do, and most people don't think of love as part of building buildings, but I think David does. And probably a lot of you do as well. Now, other people would think I'm in the healthcare industry, and whenever you hear the words health and care together, what are the first things that come to your mind? Doctor. What else? Insurance. What else? Hospital. What else? Expensive. Do we think of broken bones, of heart attacks, of Alzheimer's, of the last time you went to the doctor because you cut your thumb or whatever? Well, all of these things have to do not really with health care. They have to do with disease care. And that's what we're doing in America, is we're focused on disease, on managing disease no less. We're not even focused on curing it. We talk about curing, but it doesn't happen. We talk mostly about managing disease. So I wanted to introduce you to a friend of mine. Hopefully you can hear this. A friend of mine named Craig. Before we talk about the 4 steps to building health.
So excited to be here to tell you about my experience here with Dr. Andrew and Prestige Wellness. In just a short 3 months, it's changed my life. When I think back to what was going on with me prior to my meeting Dr. Andrew and Prestige Wellness here, I was just an executive, just going to the grind every day, just trying to figure out how to stay afloat. I remember this one time where Dr. Andrew showed me a picture in a book and said, "Hey, which picture describes you?" And I remember it was this picture of this guy, trying to prop his head up, coming out of the bed this morning, just trying to figure out how to just get the energy to go through another day. And so, for me, I just had a lot of challenges like that. Starting to get old and just trying to keep up with the stress of the day, and I've just seen some miraculous things happen in my life. My wife was going to spend time here with Dr. Andrew, recommended me to come over here and meet him and look at what he could do for me, and it's honestly, it has changed my life. I have a lot more energy. The protocols that I've been going through are things that, because I've been to doctors before, and I've never had a doctor sit down and actually listen and be able to help me through, kind of the things that are ailing me. Definitely on the journey to be healed, and it's made all the difference. And I'm a better leader. I'm able to work with my teammates a lot better. I have a lot more energy and just a lot happier outlook for life here.
And what Craig didn't tell you is that, well, you got it that his wife dragged him in, because usually it's the woman who's more in tune with her own health needs, and the man just blows things off, just powers through it, or doesn't realize that anything is going on, or he thinks like Craig did, oh, I'm just getting older. But what Craig didn't say is that he didn't come in with any specific complaint, like, I have belly pain, or I have headaches, or whatever. He just said, what can you do to help me out? Because my wife says that I should get checked out and see if there's anything that needs to be done. I'm going to run through a bunch of slides, and if there's anything of interest on them, you'll want to scan the code here, and then you can get it next week, because I'll probably go too fast for you to write anything down if you decided you wanted to. So, how many of you ever had a warning light come on your car's dashboard? So, do you ignore it? Sometimes. If you ignore it very long, what might happen?
A lot of bad things.
Something really bad could happen.
Yeah.
Something really bad could happen. So let's say that you take it into the mechanic, and the mechanic says, I tell you what, I've got the solution for this. I've got some duct tape right here, and we put it right over that light, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. That work? Maybe not? Okay, how about if he says, well, it sounds like it's a spark plug. Let's just put a new spark plug in and see what happens. Sound like a good idea? Maybe not? Or might he hook it up to the computer and do some diagnostics, see what's going on with this car that caused it to trigger that light to go on. And then once he or she figures out what's wrong with it, then they may, then usually they come up to you and say, okay, here's the problem, here's some options, you can get a new one, you can get a refurbished one, you can have me jerry-rig the wires, what would you like? Here's the cost, you can get the cheap tires, the expensive tires, whatever it is. And then you say, okay, I want to do this, right? Well, once the problem is fixed, then of course the light doesn't keep coming on. But our bodies are kind of like these dashboards. They give us warning lights as well. Only those warning lights are in the form of what we call symptoms. And oftentimes we don't realize that those warning lights are really warning lights. For example, you could have some belly pain, and if it goes away in a day, then maybe no big deal. But if it keeps going on and on and on, then you might be tempted to just take a little pill and just try to make it go away, which is what we call putting a piece of duct tape over it. Or you might have headaches, or you might have fatigue, or insomnia, or depression, or what else? Any number of bloating, belching gas, any number of symptoms, those are actually warning lights. So if we have a warning light, and we go to the doctor and he says, well, it's your gallbladder. It's not working, it's only working at 40%. So let's take it out. Does that sound like a good idea?
It did at the time. I have mine gone.
It's tempting. I had a patient not too long ago who said, said, so wait a minute, the doctor told me my gallbladder was only functioning at 40%, so he said he wanted to take it out. Well, doesn't that make it function at 0%? Why don't I just fix it instead, which he did. Now, some of you may have heard of this thing called the purple pill. The purple pill is magic. We learned about it in medical school because it solves all the world's problems.
So does the blue pill.
So does the blue pill. So it's it makes your heartburn go away and your belly pain go away, and you just feel so good for 24 hours at a time. So it's like going into the mechanic every day and having them turn that light off so it's not bugging you, right? Because it only works for 24 hours at a time. But the problem is it doesn't fix the cause of your heartburn. It doesn't even care what the cause of your heartburn is. And the other problem is, whatever's causing your heartburn, could it be causing something else? Actually, it is. And what if that purple pill itself has risks of its own, like stomach cancer, or Alzheimer's, or osteoporosis, or death, or deficiencies of vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, molybdenum, zinc, iron, there's a bunch more, and proteins. There are a lot of consequences that are not addressed, or I should say consequences that are created by covering up that light on the dashboard. So sometimes, when we're young anyway, well, okay, you guys are all young, but when we're younger, when we're teenagers, we might feel like Ferraris. And then, as we add a few birthdays, sometimes we feel a little more like this. How do we get back to the Ferrari? Well, as I mentioned, in medical school, I was taught to treat symptoms and to manage disease. But that doesn't solve problems, because the average trajectory of the human is to start up here, let's say at birth, in their peak health, and then just go like this over time, sometimes have a big dip, but people don't tend in our system to get better and better. We tend to get worse and worse, and we say, Doc, I'm just getting older. You might be surprised to hear that I hear 20 and 30-year-olds saying, Doc, I'm just getting older, which is insane. So we don't want to focus on treating symptoms or managing disease. We want to focus on identifying the causes of dysfunction and building health. So we have to use certain tools. And when we focus on managing disease, guess what we get more of? Anybody know? We get more disease. If we focus on building health, we get less disease and more health. Now, see, this was you. I don't envy you, because that doesn't feel very good. But if we put those bones, if we held those bones together for a while with a cast or with pins, something magic is going to happen. It will fix itself. Like the body just magically knows how to put itself back together again, if we give it the right tools and if we get out of the way. So, what we do in our offices is focus on helping the body to heal itself and getting out of the way, which is a hard thing to do in our society. Building health starts with, number one, running the right tests. Have you ever seen a doctor or heard of somebody going to a doctor and they run some tests and they say,
Nothing's wrong.
nothing's wrong with you. Your labs are all normal. And you're going, Are you kidding me? I just spent $50 for you to tell me that I'm normal and I'm hating my life and I feel miserable? How is that? How can that be? There's 2 reasons. One is because in medical school, in American medicine, we don't know what normal is. We've lost track of normal. We look at a lab reference range, and like, it takes a doctor to tell you this. I mean, you don't go to medical school to learn that, okay, there's this number between here and here, and if you're between here and here, then you're normal. A computer could have done that. You don't need a human being. The problem is that normal, what we think is not normal. What we think is normal today is not healthy. Guess what normal is? Normal is dying of heart attack, stroke, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's. That's today's normal in America, right? Anybody disagree with me? No? So, how many people here want to be normal? No hands. Okay, so we want to be healthy instead. Yes. So, let's look at reference ranges for a second. This is testosterone. I see men all the time who come in and say, my doctor told me my testosterone was normal, but I feel crappy. And I say, I don't care what he said, I want to know what the number is. What was the number? I don't know, he didn't tell me. So we get the number, and we find out that the number was, 251. Well, you can see on here, 251 is normal, because that is the statistical average within two standard deviations of the mean. And then if you're below 250, the laboratory and the doctor say that you're low, and if you're above 827 with this laboratory, then they call you high. But in reality, medical studies in the published literature show us that optimal levels are actually between 700 and 1200. And when a man's testosterone is below 700, guess what he's at risk for? Dementia, heart attack, stroke, osteoporosis, erectile dysfunction, fatigue, depression, what else? Insomnia. Bunch of bad things. So, we want to be optimal, not normal. How about cholesterol? Has anybody ever heard you want your cholesterol below 200? That's what we all say in doctor land. Cholesterol has to be below 200 because if not, you're going to have a heart attack. But actually, the studies show that if your cholesterol is less than 200, you're at higher risk of death than you are if your cholesterol is higher than 240. This is a death curve right here. Your lowest risk of death is between 200 and 240. And yet, how many people here during your lifetimes are going to be recommended to take a statin drug to lower your cholesterol to save your life from heart attack and end up killing you from something else? If not heart disease, because lowering cholesterol doesn't reduce heart attacks. Sorry. That's not what the data shows, but that's a different story. So we have to understand what's normal. And the other part of this equation is the doctors who say that your labs are normal, there's nothing wrong with you, aren't doing the right tests. So you got to do the right tests. Incidentally, just yesterday I saw all the tests, or I should say a lot of the tests that I do these days, I never heard of in medical school. I don't know why, I should have heard of them. But just yesterday I saw a whole family from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Not the whole family, just 4 of their 7 kids. And they just want to be healthy. Well, just yesterday I found out the 18-year-old daughter has an autoimmune disease and liver disease. She had no symptoms. She would not have symptoms for up to another 15 years before she came to medical attention, had we not run the right tests. So number 1 is running the right tests. Number 2 is giving the body what it needs. So what does the body need? It needs a healthy diet and lifestyle to begin with. That's the foundation of your building here. Isn't this the irony of American medicine? that we are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. So here's some dietary guidelines. Good question for you. Is this to die for or to die from? And I'm giving up eating chocolate for a month. Sorry, bad punctuation. I'm giving up eating chocolate for a month. So, got some foundations for healthy diet and lifestyle. Number 2 is, some people will say, oh, I get all my nutrients from food. Sorry, you don't. Unfortunately, modern farming techniques have diminished the nutrient content of our soil, and even the U.S. government admits that dramatically. So we need targeted supplementation based on what our deficiencies are of nutrients and hormones. Thirdly, we want to remove what doesn't belong, and that is any number of toxins and infections. And in our American world, we are full of infections and toxins of any variety. Most of us in this room have infections, and most of you don't know it, but they're affecting your health. And this is the energy production cycle in every cell in your body, and there are different parts here where you can see the specific vitamins that are necessary for energy production. And then in the red, you can see you can't see it from there, but basically the toxins that interfere with energy production. And so we have to remove from the body what doesn't belong there. And finally, we use specific tools to help the body heal itself. So in conventional medicine, the tools that I was taught to use all have the names of blockers and inhibitors behind them. Who wants to block a natural God-given process that is needed for health? All blockers and inhibitors have long-term risks. We don't want to block healthy things. So instead, we use tools that help the body heal itself, such as herbs, peptides, stem cells, exosomes, ozone, methylene blue, IV therapy, and so forth. All kinds of tools. So if you are not on the highway to health, what you'll want to do is take the first off ramp and then go across the highway and go back the other direction. And you can do it by following these 4 simple steps. Checking the right labs, giving yourself the foundation of what your body needs, removing from your body what we all have and what interferes with our optimal function, and then using specific tools that help the body work the way it was designed to bring it back to factory settings. Thank you for your attention.